Hello. Hey, welcome to Lemon Bar season. If you're new here, I'm Ashley. I'm a creative entrepreneur, a busy mom, and someone learning to embrace the messy middle of starting something new. In my case, a brand new creative arts business. I'm taking you along my journey by documenting all the joys and challenges I'm facing in real time, in the messy middle, a place that is not very comfortable for me. Today, I want to talk about something that used to have me in a chokehold for way too long. And I'm sure you've guessed it because I've already used the word fear. Fear and we've had a toxic relationship. Fear was kind of like that one friend who keeps you stuck, comforting in a way, but also feeding every insecurity, every doubt, every reason to stay small. And honestly, for a long time, I let it. Fear, my frenemy. Fear wasn't just a feeling, it was a voice in my head mirroring everything I had already struggled with. My insecurities, you're not good enough, Ashley. My shame, who do you think you are? My scarcity mindset, you'll fail and lose everything. My anxiety of the unknown. What if people judge me? What if I mess up? Fear was so good at convincing me that it was safer to stay stuck where I was. It told me it was okay to stay stuck, that growth was too risky. It doubled down whenever I wanted to make a move. Anytime I got close to stepping out of my comfort zone, fear turned up the volume and I stepped back in line. It even let me believe the worst stories about myself. It helped me believe that inner mean girl voice, the one that says people are going to laugh at you, you're not as good as them. That was fear dressed up as logic. And looking back, I can see the real cost of believing it. So, what fear has cost me? Fear isn't just annoying, it's expensive. It costs us time, opportunities, and growth. And so, me personally, just like reflecting back on my life, I've missed a lot of business and life opportunities. There were ideas I never acted on, things I hesitated too long on, and I missed the boat. I said no to something I really wanted to because of the fear of failure or rejection. I wasted a lot of time and delayed my own growth. I waited for the perfect moment that never came. I was paralyzed by fear and anxiety of not being good enough. I cried so many tears. I've lost precious time and sleep, to say the least. For confidence and self expression, I didn't really always show up fully as myself. I tried different personas to see which one would make me a pick me girl, which, looking back, it's very cringe. I doubted my own decisions and abilities. I stifled my own voice and opinions, and even the type of art or anything that is up to the individual because I was afraid I wasn't going to be good enough. It cost me meaningful relationships. I hesitated to put myself out there in friendships, networking opportunities, in the play groups that my daughter goes to. I had a fear of vulnerability of what I shared. Fear also affected a lot of my close relationships because I was anxious and moody, projecting my fear, repeating myself, and complaining and not doing anything, and I didn't act upon it to my loved ones. It also cost me new experiences and financial growth. I didn't bet on myself soon enough or often enough. I avoided pricing my work or not negotiating for a good salary or a raise because I was scared of what the other person was going to value me at. It also took a toll on my mental and emotional well-being. Like, I have had constant self-doubt, stress, feeling like I was behind, carrying the weight of making decisions or not making decisions, anxiety of what others think of me, even when we know that they're probably not even thinking about me. People don't think about you the way that you think that they're thinking about you. Resilience, and again, life lessons. Like, because fear keeps me or kept me from trying, I missed out a lot on learning. And I wouldn't share the messy parts of my stories because I would worry, like, oh, nobody wants to know about that, or maybe it's just me, or it's like too messy, too ugly to even share. Honestly, I don't want to live life like that. I have a 3.5-year-old daughter, and I just don't want her growing up the way that I have stifled myself, let fear stifle me. So that is a big part of why I am wanting to share this with you, in hopes that it'll give somebody motivation or encouragement or inspiration to also kick fear in the teeth, as I've heard. So I've come a long way, and I'm going to share some examples with you in like my personal and professional life. And just as a disclaimer, that I still have tons of room for growth and opportunities in my business life, as I'll cover at the end. So let's do a story time. Maybe some of these instances, big and small, are going to resonate with you. And maybe it'll just make you also reflect on what fear has robbed from you. So, in my personal life, when I let fear win and when I didn't. So, fear almost held me back in high school. I was terrified to apply and be voted on for a president position for our health science club. I let fear convince me I wasn't good enough to even try. I would melt into the floor if I was like rejected or if I didn't lose against my opponent. And when we were voting and I was going to be locked in, I think as like secretary or treasurer, my best friend at the time nominated me in front of all the voters, which was the whole class. It was very awkward, very tense. And she's like, Ashley wants to be president and let's vote for it. And so we shuffled the election around. And guess what? I won by over the majority. So, what would have happened to me if I let fear stop me? I would have lost out on confidence, leadership skills that I inevitably grew from being the health science class president. And I would also have that nagging feeling of what could have been if I didn't take the chance. I honestly would have also had feelings of resentment towards the person who would win, and it's not their fault. It was me being insecure, me getting in my own way. So another personal thing that's really big, and you'll hear about it more from me, is taking the leap. I moved from the Pacific Northwest to Texas here in the US. So leaving my comfort zone was scary. I took the leap. I moved here for a job opportunity. It was back in 2016. I remember telling my ex-husband, when we were still married, we were at a brewery. I remember it was like a Sunday evening and I was very restless. And I told him, we need to make a change. I want to make a move. He thought we were just going to be like moving neighborhoods. But no, I meant like move out of here. Let's throw a dart at the US map and see where it takes us. So I just came home from a nursing conference in Orlando, and it was Hurricane Matthew, so it canceled half the conference. But when I was able to be there, I was caught up in the energy of like these thought leaders, these uh, nurse leaders and bedside peers of innovation, change, stories of bravery and doing something different. And so when I came home, back home to the Pacific Northwest, it reminded me, like sitting there at the brewery, it just sucked because it reminded me that there were two recent job opportunities I was tentatively offered. They were rescinded due to budgetary costs, and the houses that we were putting offers in on, that we wanted to buy a house and start our next chapter of our marriage and our life, that they were sold out from underneath us. People were overbidding, they were paying in cash, and so we didn't stand a chance for the offers that we did make. And so I've been in Texas for 8 years as of this past February 2025. And it honestly feels like another lifetime that I called the Pacific Northwest home, even though I call it home in my head still. So in the course of the 8 years, this is what fears I've overcame and some things that have held me back. So in the course of the 8 years, and as you get to know me, I started my first creative business. I learned a ton of new skills like calligraphy, iPad lettering, graphic design. I started investing in creative courses, which seemed so expensive at the time, but now I'm just like, yep, that's what courses are at a minimum. I left the organization that brought me to Texas, that paid for us to relocate here. I went to work for an awesome department for 4 years and gained tons of leadership skills and friends. I went on a personal health journey. I lost weight. We did family planning. I got pregnant in the midst of the COVID pandemic. I had COVID as a pregnant woman. That was a lot of fear. I experienced issues in the marriage that included infidelity during my postpartum period. Very ugly, very like heartbreaking. The inevitable divorce that I filed for, a job promotion, raising a baby, moving to a new city, moving and getting into the norm of being a mom and somebody who's divorced. And there were a lot of things I feared and did anyway. So moving with fear and holding hands with it or like staring it down, it ultimately brought me closer to who I'm supposed to be and closer to where I'm going. So, whoa, that was a lot, right? So, how about fear in my sorry, I'm changing the slides. Fear in my professional life. So, one of the things I could that came to the top of my head was that when I went into my master's program, I was the youngest one. I was 22, turning 23 years old. Everybody else had all these incredible resumes. They were nurses and nurse managers for like decades, millions of years. They worked at prestigious organizations in the Portland Metroplex. Everybody just seemed so amazing in person and on paper, and I just felt like I didn't belong. And on the first day of orientation, I really did have doubts and fear like, what if I'm not cut out for this? What if I'm not good enough to be here yet? And so one of the program leads pulled me aside after the whole orientation. Maybe she was able to pick up on it, or maybe they thought about it. And she said, like, she didn't say it in these words, but like, you're an asset to this program. Like, we picked you to be a part of this cohort for a reason. And it made me realize back then that fear was lying to me. What if I didn't apply? What if I let imposter syndrome win? I'm so very proud of my professional resume. Like, I have a mile long resume at my age and with 12 years of healthcare experience, nursing experience under my belt, and I still just keep growing it. So maybe I don't have a lot of fear in this area because of my grad school experience that I just shared with you. So, another fear, though, that I'm glad I made it to the other side. As I mentioned earlier, I left the organization that brought me here and I worked at a different department for 4 years. So, it took me 9 months to leave a job I had outgrown. Like, my department was great, the work was getting harder, it was harder to juggle my daughter, the work life balance I was looking for, and I was just no longer in harmony with my department leadership just because of things going on with me. And fear kept me stuck. What if I don't find anything better? I'm supporting my daughter. Like, don't be stupid. Like, don't go looking for another job right now. What if I fail? But then the recruiter I worked with was very patient, very encouraging. I joke around that she's my life coach. And she helped me take the leap 9 months later. And when I left, I got like over a 10% raise, like the type of work-life balance I was looking for, plus a ton more like professional growth and technical skills that I can now pad my resume with even further, and more networking. And it made me think, what if I had left sooner? I would have been able to get more financial abundance if I would have taken the leap 9 months earlier. So that's also another example. So now moving into the area that I have all the opportunity for, like I said, is fear in my business. And the story is still in progress. So this is the area where I still have the beginner energy. It's mixed with imposter syndrome. I don't have years of street cred in the creative industry. I didn't have a professional graphic design degree as much as I would. I mean, if I could do it right now, I totally would. I went through a graphic design professional certificate program, and it exposed me to everything I needed to know. And I've sold things on Etsy, and I've been invited to collaborative spaces and giveaways, and I've been reposted. See what I'm doing here? Like, even though I have imposter syndrome and I have fear in my business and I have a lot of it, I'm just giving you like examples of like, but here's something to counteract it. So I started anyway. So far in the business realm, I've launched a business. I've recorded videos of myself, like doing craft tutorials. I've been on design teams, applied for design teams for card making or calligraphy. My work has been reposted by big, card making brands like on their social media or in their stories. They've loved my pictures. I've been declined from design teams because I didn't have enough of a following. I invested in courses. I've put money, tons of money into learning. Like, you know, when they say dinks, like double income, no kids. So that was my scenario before having my daughter, that tons of my money and time would go into graphic design, my iPad, buying assets, designing things in my craft room for 8 to 10 hours, like on the weekend in one sitting, because I was just so into it. But that that looks different these days, of course. So I'm definitely still in the messy middle. I do have like regrets. There are constant fears in the day um, that I have to battle, and I'm still battling. And this is a part of like accountability, like talking to you guys and sharing about it. So this is actually my first video that I'm putting up on YouTube since my crafting days, like back in 2017 or 2018. So I consider it number one. So I was listening to Pat Flynn earlier, and some of the adages that he was saying was just like, you got to be cringe before they binge. You have to be a disaster before you become a master. And you have to, uh, I forget the third one. If I remember it, I will share it in the next segment. So, my current journey, or like where I'm getting to risk tolerance. Okay, sorry about that. So, how I'm learning to work with fear instead of against it. Fear hasn't disappeared. I'm just better learning how to manage it, especially in this season of life, which is about my daughter, and just trying to make all my dreams come true despite all the big, heavy things going on in my personal life and in the external world. So, the things that I have gone through, or have done, or revisited, or invested in throughout my adult life in terms of fear. So, therapy, any therapy exercises or journaling that they've had me do. So, understanding why I have a fear, what insecurity is within me that's causing me to feel this way. For me, meditation and journaling have really gotten me to be quiet and separating fears from facts, and just like seeing like, oh yeah, that's just a thought, that doesn't make it true. That's just a story, that doesn't make it true, or that doesn't mean anything, or it's just a passing cloud. Those were some strategies I've learned in meditation. Learning from others. So being able to be in the spaces, learning intimate or vulnerable details from like entrepreneurs, or like creative brands, or people who've also taken me on their journey and how they've pushed through their own fears, learning from them, resonating with them, following their work has also helped me with my risk tolerance. I also just have to be real with myself and ask, what's this fear really about? And what else is it costing me? And if I don't change, what will occur or not occur? What are the risks? So, just things that I have to think about. So, I just want to share with you that if fear has been your frenemy, you're not alone. Fear is only powerful if you let it stop you continuously. We have those moments from time to time where we're paralyzed with it, or we mope about it for a day or two. But give yourself that timeline, like, I'm going to cry about it tonight, or I'll be paralyzed, or I'll spiral for an hour a day, or less than a week. But then after that, we're done. So, fear is only powerful if you let it stop you. You don't have to feel ready. And this is like a pep talk to myself. So I feel like I'm looking at a mirror. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to take the next step. So whatever you've been putting off because of fear, do it anyway. Do it messy. When fear starts whispering again, remember who's in charge. And it's not fear, it's you. And until next time, I hope that the next couple of slides, just sharing with you some journaling prompts that maybe can also help you like take a step in the right direction when it comes to fear. So here are some journaling prompts for you. You're going to see me looking this way because I'm going to be reading the journaling prompts. So what's a fear that's been holding me back lately? When did I first learn to be afraid of failure, judgment, or rejection? If I'm being honest with myself, what am I actually afraid of? What does fear really cost me? If I keep letting fear control my decision making, where do I think I'll be in 6 months, a year from now? What's one thing I've regretted because fear got in the way? What's the worst case scenario if I fail? What's the best case scenario? What could I gain by taking action despite my fear? When have I taken a risk and it was rewarding and it surprised me? What are some affirmations or reminders that could help me push through the fear? What's one action? I see my typo, so here I am doing my fear. What's one action that I can commit to this week that's a step in the right direction towards what I want? So I will see you guys next time for the pep talk. I'm celebrating because this is video number 1 on the channel. I'm going to be sharing so much more with you guys about like my journey and like motherhood and being in the corporate 9 to 5 grind, working on my creative endeavors, like everything that is just a part of this journey that hopefully will motivate you, encourage you, inspire you, and keep me keep me honest, keep me accountable. So if you have any other topics or things that you like want to talk about, or that you have a fear that you're working on, or anything else that you'd love to share, like because I would love to grow a community. Then drop it in the comments or feel free to message me or something, contact me. I am going to get my, as of today, February 27th, 2025, I'm still working on putting things together instead of letting, I'm trying to say done is better than perfect. Do something different and just get in the messy middle. So anyway, I'm rambling. So thank you for listening and tuning in to my first video, and may I do many more. Bye.